All right, so we are recording. Welcome to our current edition, the next edition of our chamber chat. It is just for kind of that timestamp purpose. It's Wednesday, June 10th, and we have County Executive Satpal Sidhu joining the conversation today. So Satpal, thank you so much for being here. It wouldn't be a chamber program if we didn't acknowledge our sponsors. So we have BP Cherry Point, U.S. Bank, Puget Sound Energy. Thanks to those three employers and companies locally who support the chamber. They originally all supported our chamber speaker series, which again, as most organizations have had to pivot, we've had to pivot too. So we appreciate their support of our programming. And again, these chamber chats are recorded. We post them to Facebook for everyone to view afterwards. So Satpal, want to be acknowledgement of your time. You are a busy person right now, so I appreciate you taking the time to be here and have the conversation. And so I wrote some questions down, so I'll kind of be flipping between screens as much as I can. But really, my first question is just kind of some overall thoughts. So it is June.
Yeah.
You took over the position in January. You
Yes.
had about, I don't know, what, 4 weeks, 6 weeks
Yep.
of onboarding.
Yep.
I'm not going to call it normalcy, but let's call it onboarding.
Yes.
And then this happened. And so just talk with me a little bit about.
I think that yes, and thanks for inviting me, and I would not want to miss anything like this, and I'll be happy to come in future as well. Now it was just like 4 weeks, and the floods came, and we all forgot about that, and that was quite an event in our county, in us people in Everson and Sumas. And haven't seen boats on the main street, and then right after that, and we were not even out of that this COVID thing came. That's okay. Life happens like that. There's no things that we can always predict, and the best thing is that how we adapt ourselves to the current situations. And I am very blessed. I have a very good people, very talented people around me, and not only on my direct staff, but as county department heads, managers, the sheriff, the prosecutor, and those things are very important, especially in case of emergency. And the other thing is, I think in general, I received a lot of cooperation from public. There were genuinely, a lot of people were upset that some actions were not taken immediately, quickly. And I think that I always said right from day one of COVID that let's work on the formula, plan, prepare, and don't panic. And, I was talking to Guy just a couple of minutes ago that I was warned in late March that Satpal braced for 500 deaths in our county because of COVID. And when it hit in Shuckson facility, and there was a real concern about first responders being not taken care of or not protected properly. And I heard everything, and these were genuine concerns that people were not raising it just for sake of raising. And but any government or large organization, it takes a little time. I cannot just have a wand and wave it on 10 department managers, say, okay, tomorrow you're going to do this. Everybody is a human being, and they have their own perceptions and their own way, and there are things that are in their hands, and they need to act on that. But overall, I'm very pleased, and I am very happy to report that we got into phase 2. And this is only possible because of the cooperation from people. If people did not follow the protocols, people didn't follow social distancing, people didn't show patience, we would not have been there. And all we can do is organize ourselves and be transparent with people. And I think that's what my overall assessment is. And the council has been very gracious. I know sometimes we kind of clash on points, and that's
it hasn't happened at all.
No. But the thing is, I take it in the right spirit. I think they have their responsibilities and their viewpoint, perspective on things. And we in the administration have our perspective, but we have been able to resolve our issues and move forward. And I think, and that's a good thing. And I will be happy to answer any questions, because I can go on for another 10 minutes. I don't want to do that, because this is an opportunity for everybody to ask me.
He got that one. He got that one. I think you hit like 4 of my questions, so we're functionally done. I'm kidding. So one of the things that I was really just interested in, and you touched on it a little bit, but I'm going to ask you to expand on it. And this may be a question that comes at who you are, like at your core. And it comes from a leadership perspective. I mean, one of the aspects of the chamber with our program Leadership Whatcom is to grow leaders. And so my question is your approach to leadership. So since the pandemic started, how would you describe your approach?
My approach is plan, prepare, and don't panic. It takes a lot to spook me. That's one thing. And that goes in my background. I have lived in 3 different countries. I speak 4 different languages. That's not as a qualification, because what it does is it formulates your mind. It is the underlying the demeanor of the person. And living in many places, working in large organizations. I have worked internationally, and I understand. The second part is, to me, being a responsible citizen is more important than belonging to a group or a tribe or a Democrat or Republican or a extreme liberal or extreme right-winger. All those things, to me, are labels. In our lives, we are every one of those things at different parts in our life or different situations in the same day. I can be extremely liberal with my kids same day, but extremely conservative when they ask for money. So, so I think that we have given way too much credence and way too much importance to these labels. And we suddenly, we suddenly put that person in a cubbyhole. Everybody. This is something, and I said this in 2015. Actually, I would like people to read my statement to the council when I was appointed. And that was my speech, my pitch for me to be appointed to the council. And I said that, how can you take a person and put his knowledge, his experience, everything into a cubbyhole and say, you're going to stay in there and that's what you are, And I think that this is harming our country. So my demeanor has been like this, that people may not agree with me. I mean, I totally understand that. But this is where I work from. Mm-hmm. I work from the perspective of what the issue is and what is the most plausible, best answer for our community, not what is good for me as a person or my tribe. Mm-hmm. Yes, we all belong to tribe. We have to get elected. You have to belong to a party. And that's not a sin. That's not a bad thing that I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, or I'm a libertarian. I think those are good things. But get stuck in that mud is bad if you can't extract yourself and talk about something else. So that's my premise of leadership, or my premise of working on any subject, every subject.
Okay. Well, I think in your position, you almost have to have that.
Yes.
Diversity of thought as well.
Yes.
So I kind of want to go into some of the finer points, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so as the county executive, and a lot of this is based upon conversations I've had with the business community and just and sometimes questions that I have that I don't know the answer to. And since I'm conducting the interview, I get to ask him. So as the county executive, what is your role with Whatcom Unified Command and the Whatcom County Health Department?
Uh, Actually, this is something I really learned very quickly and very early on my job. The way our charter is, county executive is the person who is the incident commander and unified commander. But back about 15, 18 years ago, at that time, the council and the administration passed a ordinance where this authority was delegated to the sheriff. So the county executive still is the head of unified command by our charter, but it was officially delegated to the county sheriff. And the sheriff, in that delegation, the stipulation is the sheriff works in cooperation with the county executive, but all the day-to-day work is in the hands of the sheriff.
Okay.
So then we went to a unified command with 4 commanders because it was actually a health emergency. It was not a civil emergency. That's what we started with. In a health emergency, we call it departmental emergency. Then it was the health department who was the incident commanders. But this health emergency led us to a civil emergency. It evolved into, and then we had to move to a unified command because there were civil matters, businesses being closed and other things happening. So it has to take that form. So we had 4 commanders at one time. And then we said that this is not working. It is lot more cumbersome. So we went to a single commander model.
Okay.
The executive board, which is overseeing that commander, is the city of Bellingham mayor, Seth Fleetwood, myself, and Bill Elfo, sheriff, and chairman weekly.
And who is the 4th one? Your video.
And we oversee.
Satpal, can you still hear me? Okay, we'll give it a little bit. Okay.
I can't hear you. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I think we're back now. So technology, fun.
Yes.
So just to recap, because we kind of lost you there, at least I did. Yourself, Seth, Mayor.
Seth, Mayor,
Sheriff,
Sheriff, and Chairman of Lummi Nation.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
yeah, 4 of us. Yeah.
Okay, and then the single incident commander is now Scott.
Yes, Scott McCready. Yeah.
Okay. So next question, because you mentioned the health crisis or the health pandemic moved to a civil crisis, or including multiple things. From an economic perspective, I mean, clearly we're looking at an economic crisis right now. We've seen some major employers announce permanent shutdowns or layoffs in our community. We have other national employers that are announcing job cuts, whether or not they're impacting Whatcom County or not. We don't know. And we're starting to see some locally owned businesses, particularly some restaurants, announce permanent closures. And we would expect to see even more as we continue through this pandemic. What are you, or what will you do to lift up our employers and businesses in the county? So do you have a plan, or are there plans that are being built to kind of build up and, you know, both from an offensive perspective as well as a defensive perspective, our employers?
Yes, and I think this is the single most important task we have ahead of us. I tell people that we have 3 crises. We have a health and safety crisis, we have economic crisis, and we have a social crisis. The social crisis has not come up on the surface yet. It's a little bit latent, but it is brewing underneath, and this could stay with us. Economic and social crisis will stay up with us much longer than the health crisis would. Because that what has been caused. Now, our role as a county administration, I think the economy always have been the driving force or engine of any community. You go back hundreds of years in a different manners, a different intensity. Economy is always, because that's what we make our living from. That's what we live. And we want to live our life, you need to take care of your basic amenities, your food, your shelter, and everything. And that's what you earn. It doesn't fall off of the sky. You have to earn that. And so this, I never forget that economy is always our basis of our society. Everything else fails if our economy is not there. So that much importance I give it. Now, the thing is, like COVID happened, same thing in telco happened. In telco, we kind of knew for last 20 years. I have been involved with that, and it now happened again. This is a repeat of that. And announcement by BP Corporate is sitting in London. They're looking at 60 different countries, their operations, and they have 70, 80,000 people, and they want to cut 10,000 people. These things happen. They're not in our control. Mm-hmm. In our control is that how we can help our local medium to small businesses, which is more impactful from the county. And now with the COVID dollars, we have received $12.4 million from the CARES Act, which came to the state, and state allocated to Whatcom County. Each of the city got, Bellingham got $2.7 million. Linden, Ferndale got about $450,000 each, and the other cities maybe $200,000 each. So we total Whatcom County got $16.4 million. Now we have a very short window that we have to spend this money before October 31st, and it has to be spent only COVID related. There are 5 different conditions on it. I don't want to go and bore and people with detail, but what we are trying to do with the money. What we are trying to do with the money, that 2 major buckets of this expenses, which are sitting in the front of the council, and they are going to work on the June 16 meeting. Almost $4 to $5 million we know we need to get to COVID response, health department response. All the money we have spent from March 1 onward is repayable back to our county government. All the money we have spent overtime and everything, all the money we spent on unified command, we can get back. All the money we spent on Byron Street, the Motel 6, we have that a quarantine isolation facility. We can get that back. And the continuing, just in case there's a surge in next coming months, because the agriculture workers are coming, transient workers. We have 6,000 people coming to our county for berry harvest. So all those things, so we are doing that. The second biggest thing is the assistance to the business. Last time, just not even 2 months ago, the Department of Commerce announced $10,000 grants. We had 700 applications from small businesses. Only 17 people were able to get. Now we are going to, we have made a task force already through the ADO that look at those 700 applications and maybe ask for new applications as well. Let's use this similar criteria what state Department of Commerce use, not the same. We can modify which fits our community, not the whole state. And then let's put a next chunk of money into that. I don't know. It could be $2 million, $5 million. I don't know that. But that's what we are thinking, that let's help small businesses. Larger businesses have different resources, different ways to get the money. Small resource people, 10 employees, 15 employees, smaller self-proprietorships. So we are looking at that to provide that grant money.
Okay. Yeah, the smaller businesses will need the financial investment.
Yes.
Our larger businesses are probably more policy-oriented solutions.
Yes.
Yes. And so when you're looking at the decisions over the next probably, I would say, weeks versus months for this funding, is that come from your office or is that a council decision?
No, two things. The council gives us allocation. So we said, okay, here's the $12.4 million. And we, as an administration, gave them 5 buckets of money. Say, these are the 5 things that we would like to do with it, right? And the council will deliberate, and they will say, okay, maybe more money in this or less money in this, and whatever. We will work together to get that decision. Now, this is the county money. It's not only Whatcom County Council. I want people to know that we are working with all the mayors. We got so much money that cities didn't get. They didn't just take a population and took $16 million and gave it to by the population. No, they saw that health department and response is in county's responsibility. That's why we got extra money. But we are not only looking at Whatcom County Council, we are looking at the 7 mayors. I have even told them that suppose Blaine got $250,000 and they think that their assistants would need $400,000. We said we will be more than happy to give our money to Blaine. Mm-hmm. It's not that, oh, you got it, you keep it. My suggestion to all the mayors, which they have agreed in principle, that this money belongs to whole Whatcom County. Mm-hmm. Anybody, please come up with the plans where we can help our businesses, where we can help with rental assistance, with child care, child and family care, with I don't remember all those things now. There are 4 or 5 things. So let's come up with the program and distribute the money, which is benefit for whole community. We don't want to spend all the money in Bellingham, that's for sure. Because otherwise, chunk of programs get done only in Bellingham. So and Mayor Fleetwood has been very gracious. He said, yes, I agree that money should be spent all through the county in unincorporated areas equally so that businesses everywhere get that help. Yeah. So we are working on that plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Even when you look at what I would call commuter, right? Like we are a regional economy. I mean, we can't put up walls and say, oh, no more going in between Ferndale and Bellingham. Like it's not feasible.
Like food, that's another big item, and we have allocated in our proposal. We have allocated almost $2 million to do some more permanent solutions, which can help us even beyond October. Right. You know, so yes, please reach out to council or my office for more details if somebody is interested.
And we at the Chamber will definitely promote that that information and those opportunities. We encourage all of our members to engage in council meetings and dialogues with electeds, but understanding not everybody has the time. So that's why you get to talk to me on a regular basis.
Yes.
So assuming at some point, and let's think of it in far as terms. So you have another 3.5 years in this term. We hope a lot that the pandemic will be over at some point. What will be your plan at that point? And this is probably a really unfair question, but it's a little bit of a
no. Whatever I know, I will share.
You have things you want to accomplish whenever the pandemic is over, and what are those things?
Even during the pandemic, I'm working on the housing. I think the housing crisis has not gone away. Another thing I think long-term is wetland mitigation bank. I think that all of our community, the developers, the cities, and the governments are stuck because we do not have a viable wetland mitigation strategy in our county. This can impact us for the next 50 years. So I started work on that already. And I think that with that we can work on the density, we can work on the buildable land available, and we can work on our housing policies. So the housing issue is a long-term issue. It does not have a one-step solution. It's a long-term solution, changing our policies as well as creating the opportunity for buildable lands. At the same time, preserve our environment, preserve our habitat and our water. So that is the other thing I'm taking upon. Is I already have a meeting with the Lummi Council. I am meeting with the farmers. I have met with the PUD. I am set up a meeting with City of Bellingham, and I'm setting up a meeting with the Nooksack tribe to start issues. Water is going to be the next gold in actually my lifetime,
I
which is
think it
very
might
short.
already be.
Yes, it might already be. So,
right now.
yeah, I'm thinking of my grandkids. If we don't take any action on our water like what we have done in the last 25 years, those people will never forgive us what we left for them. And I think that those are the issues really on my mind. I'm a long-term thinker. I think in terms of 10, 20, 30 years, not my next term, not my next election. That is the least of my concern.
Perfect. And it wasn't meant to be a question on an election, just
no, that's okay. It's a fair question because that's the part of our life.
Right? So I know we're getting close to our time. I want to be respectful of your time as well. So I have one final question. It looks like we've got one Q&A that we'll have a chance.
I have 15 more minutes. If you guys are okay,
all right.
I have 15 more minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. Then I will ask my two remaining questions, and then and this one goes back to more of, again, your approach to leadership during all of this, and what you have an interesting perspective as arguably the top local elected, if not one of the top local electeds. Who are the local heroes that you see during this pandemic? And similarly, who are the leaders that you rely on most during this time? And it can be local, it can be national, it can be political leaders, it can be thought leaders. Who are the people that you're taking cues from, or that you're seeing and watching, that are saying they're doing the right things, they're inspiring, I value what they have to say?
Okay. The heroes, I think the first responders, our police, our law enforcement, and our health department, they are the heroes. I tell you, I've seen right from March 12, when we set up the Unified Command and declared emergency, health department people worked for 3 weeks, or maybe 4 weeks, 16-hour days, everybody. We were learning what is a contact tracing is. We were learning what questions to ask. I mean, these things have been just invented. They may have been in some book somewhere, but nobody read it.
Right.
And we went through all that. That helped.
Oh, I think we may have. Satpal, can you still?
We learned as we went hours through the weekend to set up everything. On March 12 to end of March, our Unified Command became operational. I tell people, you know, if you see the swarm of bees, it seems like they are totally chaotic and they are flying all over and everything. They never hit each other, they never fall down, and they have a rhyme to their chaos. And I said, that's exactly what our Unified Command was. It seemed like a lot of people running around and nothing is getting done. But after 3 weeks, everything fell in place. So I think that what impresses me, what are the other people rely on? I rely on everybody who's around me. I tell you, there are no superhumans in this world. We are all superhumans. You don't go around and find, oh, if I can get that person, then I will do the best. No, you work with people you have, you motivate them, you work with them, and you trust them. To me, the most thing is like between myself and Sheriff Alpha and the Unified Command, and like Seth Fleetwood. we were all new on the job. Bill Alfo has been there for a long time.
Yeah.
And we had to deal with this. But I think what happened was, the best thing happened was that we trusted each other. If somebody came up with a proposal and everything, we never looked at, oh, only this person can make a decision, only this person can do. And I think even in our life, it is the people around you, if you give them the opportunity, they can be miracle workers. Mm-hmm. That's what I found. All the people around me are miracle workers. I'm just a figurehead.
You're just the person that signs the check, Satpal. That's it.
Yeah. Yes.
So we're approaching 3 months of this pandemic so far. And what would be your message to chamber members and our broader community? If you kind of had a message.
Yeah. My message is let's get used to this. Like, the word new normal has become very common. New reality, whatever, new way of doing things. I think the COVID or the precautions will be with us for a long time, until maybe at least a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is what we have learned because of COVID, like our just very meeting, how many things we can do remotely. Right. Education. We had the technology, but we never thought until we got forced into. You know, the knowledge is all on the airwaves, the internet. The open course at MIT. Open courseware. You can sit home and do your MBA. You can be an engineer sitting home. You never have to go to any school. Mm-hmm. All these things are possible. We are the only generation in the whole history of human that we have been so capable. We can talk to 1 billion people. Mm-hmm. 100 years ago, you could talk to 50 people. That was what a crowd.
Right.
You could have a crowd of 10,000, but only 50 people in front would listen. Other right. people say, what did he say? What did he say? What did he say? Right? So we can reach people. Food is all organized for us. Most of the people spend their life just getting water and food on the table. That was their lifetime. We don't have to worry about that. Mobility. So I think that we as humanity are much more poised to do much bigger things in our life than spend our lives on tiny little things, on tiny little labels. We should be transforming the world. Mm-hmm.
Well, and
that's how I see the future.
This has shown us that we have a lot of opportunity to engage.
Yes.
To change the world. I would make one pitch for when you said, like, all this information at our fingertips. Please, with any of us, when we're seeking out information, let's make sure they're for credible, viable sources. There's a lot of bad information out there too.
Yes.
Just because it's a www. whatever does not mean it's valuable, accurate, credible. We have institutions that are providing quality information, and it's always okay to question that.
Yes, and I agree.
But just because it lives on Facebook does not mean it's true. So I'm going to open it up. You said I have about another 8-10 minutes.
Yep. 10 minutes.
Open it up for Q&A. We've got one so far. The tourism industry has been hit especially hard during the COVID-19 pandemic. There are over 7,400 jobs in Whatcom County that depend on tourism, and a very high percentage of those jobs have been lost. Tourism is one of the fastest ways our economy can get going again. What are you willing to do to support the industry this year and into next year in 2021?
Take a vacation, go spend 2 days in a hotel or motel in your area. You don't have to go travel 200 miles to go in a motel. You can do it at your home.
Well, and a lot of that right now is
and make sure that you go eat out once in a while. I know money is tight. A lot of people, and I'm not taking it lightly. That people who've been laid off, there will be economic crunch with families and everything. But there are many things we can do. And our economy has become digital. we try to go to Amazon for everything. Let's go support your local businesses. Take a little effort. See what you can find locally. Sometimes, if it is $7.29, if what's paying $8.29, it's not going to break the bank. Mm-hmm. But we sometimes, when we're sitting on the computer, we compare and say, okay, I'm going to just go this is where it is saving me money. Saving money is a good thing. But there are many ways to do that. So I would say that it's the people who are the drivers of this economy. There's nobody coming from outside to help us. We need to help ourselves. So my thing is that let's just, and not only tourism, construction. No, I have another thought. And people may or may not like it. Instead of giving $1,200 to everybody by the federal government, I think the best thing that they have announced was $3 trillion for infrastructure. For next 10 years, $3 trillion. Build all the schools, build all the bridges, do our highways, do our airports, do fiber optics everywhere, every little town, every little hamlet in our country. That would create so many jobs. And it will be what Eisenhower did in 50s when he built the freeways. Yeah. We have stopped thinking in long terms. We stopped thinking what is good for my presidency, what is good for my party, what is good for my election. I think this is the best chance we have to put $3 trillion in infrastructure. Every industry, never mind only tourism, every industry will flourish in this country.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned support local, and we absolutely support that. The foundation piece is to
we own a small business ourselves, and we know how it is.
And I have to make a shout out to one of our members, Village Books. I think we reference Amazon, and Amazon at its core is not a horrible thing. It's convenience. But to your point, look at our retailers and our businesses that are engaging in innovative practices that are improving that convenience. Village Books is nailing it with their website, their online ordering system, that customized, what I would say, local flavor with customer service. I've got to do a shout out to them and their team, really pivoting in a way that's, I would say, equitable to the Amazon option. So
I want to
go ahead.
I want to give a shout out to my wife. She's opening this Spice Hut today in phase 2. And I mean, she's been so excited that, my God, finally I can open my store.
Right. And a lot of our businesses are right there. Finally, we're able to open. There's the financial, there's the revenue piece of that. There's also that psychological piece of that. Probably tired of being at home with you. That's what it is.
Of course.
Because you're at home all the time, right? We have one final question. What are the plans for our individuals experiencing homelessness? Are we building a better place than the high school that's different than the current mission?
Yes. What we are looking for a long-term solution. I think city is the leader. We are asking City of Bellingham to take the lead and City Council to take the lead. And we have pledged up to $1.8 million. Our council passed this resolution at last meeting. And that out of that, $1 million will be from the CARES Act funds. And $800,000 is from the Commerce grant we got, especially for the homeless populations. We are saying we will put $1.8 million towards this task. And city is working on a plan, and I think that would be apparent in next couple of weeks. Okay. And we are looking at next 3 to 4 year or next 10-year plan, because we have this opportunity we have the money to spend. And the way I look at it is, if 9 people cannot look after one more person in our communities, that 90% of the Americans can look after the 10% people. No matter what society you live in, how rich you are, how poor you are, there will always be some people who are left behind for very different reasons. And this is our humanity. This is our duty to look after those 10 people as well. That's how I approach this thing.
Absolutely.
And it's not such a burden. It's not such a burden.
Right. Absolutely. Do it well, do it efficient, do it with compassion, and realize everybody's in a situation, whether you're part of the 90 or whether you're part of the 10. Everybody's situation is individual. So, and so when we talk with Mayor Seth, I'll be sure to bring that up as a question.
Yes.
I just want to let everybody know, as we kind of transition through, we don't really know when this will end. As we transition through this pandemic, we will be doing a State of the City and County. It will feel a little bit different than normal. Where we have you and Seth doing a joint presentation together in one venue. It will probably be virtual, very similar to this. We hope it will be in person, but we want to make sure that we have that opportunity this year, and next year's can look maybe a little bit more normal in person. So we look forward to scheduling that in the near future. Satpal, thank you so much for joining this morning, giving of your time. Thank you for your leadership, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you at a number of upcoming meetings. So.
Yes, and I will always honor your call anytime. Thank you. Thank you for everybody for listening.
Absolutely. So
take care.
On Facebook a little bit later. Thanks again to our sponsors. Satpal, again, thank you. Have a great day.
You guys too. Very well. Thank you.